the withdrawal date, and I'm sure people will want to know how they're doing to make a decision on, whether they stay in the class or not stay in the class and whatnot. So if you guys consider taking releasing just that portion, not the results, but or not the actual answers, but just the results of it right away.
I will bring that up with the team, but we typically don't because it can cause some issues. So I believe we used to release them, but what would happen is that we release the grades, which is, you just see it basically right away. And although we end up finding out that after the grades are released and the rubrics are set up, we find out, one problem was misgraded. And so we go to change the score, and some of the students' grade go up and some of the grade go down. I'll let you guess what happens to the students that their grades go down and how that interaction goes. So we typically want some time once the exam is over to be able to examine the breakdown of the scoring, just to make sure no mistakes were made in the grading. And that's typically why they're held back. They're not held back because we think we're trying to keep some secret from you. They're held back because we haven't finalized the grades on them yet. That's why. But maybe we can figure out something, or I don't know. I'll talk to the TA team about it and see what they say.
Okay, thank you. It's just for that, this next one, just since it's like the middle.
No, I absolutely understand the concern and why students want it. I'm just trying to say that there's also reasons why we don't do it, just not because we think it's funny. We have logistical reasons for it.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Yep. Oh, Tim says that the withdrawal is actually in the middle of the exam window, and so because of that, we absolutely will not be releasing the scores, because then that would give certain students an unfair advantage. So that's maybe if it was a different exam, different exam window, we could talk about it. But yeah, this is almost certainly a no-go.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Shanek?
Yeah. Hi. One quick question. Would we have another office hours before the exam? And would we be looking at the suggested practice problems like we did before exam one? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go over the suggested practice problems the next office hours. I have to see. It looks like the list is actually really large, so I might have to break it into 2 separate office hours. I'll have a better idea when I take a look at it this week, and we'll update the office hour schedule based on that.
Okay. And would we also have suggested practice problems for MST? Never mind. I see it. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's 2 sets. There's one set that's MST and flow, and then there's another one that I think is the earlier topics. Yep. Oh my gosh, these lists are huge. All right. I'll have to figure it out. All right. I'm going to have one more question, and then I'm going to call it night. Bing?
Hey, Joves, quick question. So some of the suggested problems, I can solve them, but I find it very difficult to solve them with a unmodified black box. There are just a few particular problems like that. I'll also look at other people discussing these on Ed. It seems to be particularly difficult when you try to using black boxes without changing standard algorithms. So do we need to actually figure these out exactly, or do you think the suggested problems are more for us to explore and understand the concepts better?
Which one?
I think one, for example, is to detect a loop exactly of length 4.
That you can do with black boxes.
Yeah, I know you can do it, but it seems to be rather complicated that way instead of
Actually, I think the one to detect a cycle of size 4, you may want to not use a black box at all. I think that problem is actually special. it's not really. I would say that if you treat adjacency matrix as a black box, you can solve it using that, and you wouldn't use one of the listed black box. I don't believe I use one of the listed black box. Again, not all the problems line up exactly with the way we want students to solve problems. So I think you should just go with what the best you can, and then come prepared with that. And you will have at least some knowledge of approaching the problem. If you solve it with a black box, great. If you can't solve it with a black box, you at least attempted it. And then if I show you one with the black box, you can go, oh yeah, now that I see it, I can understand how that works, rather than just not attempting it at all, which I think would be bad.
Okay. Yeah, and I think part of the challenge is, like, we're only talking about the flow problem this week, right? So, and this week's homeworks are both programming assignments rather than the the normal big question type of things. So we're not going to get any model answers for any flow problems, right?
Yes.
Because we don't have any assigned practice problems, just like normal homework.
Right.
So we're not going to get any model answers, right? So for those suggested problem, it's really just we're just going to talk about them verbally, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. That is it for office hours tonight. I will try to schedule the next office hours quickly to figure out how much time I think I need to cover all the problems. It's going to be either 2 office hours, or I might just decide which problems I think are most relevant and most pressing and cover a subset of that. I haven't quite decided yet, so we'll see. But other than that, good night, everyone. Hope you enjoyed office hours. Thank you,
Joves. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
everything.
Thank you, Joves.
First.